Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Functional Longevity Podcast, where we give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. I'm your host, Chris Border, best-selling author and owner of Y.E.S Fitness. Let me first thank you for taking time from your busy day to listen to what I have to say. I don't take that lightly. Everyone's busy, so your time is important. But before I get started, let me first thank our sponsor, Y.E.S Fitness. Most people lose the ability to enjoy life as they age. At Y.E.S Fitness, we help people age 40 plus get fit so they can live longer and enjoy those extra years doing the things they love to do. Some quick housekeeping here. If you want to get a timestamp or a transcript of today's broadcast, head on over to yesfitnessct.com. Across the top, you'll see a button for podcasts. Click on there, and it'll give you access to any one of our now 317 broadcasts. You can also get this broadcast wherever podcasts can be found. See why losing weight can destroy your metabolism. The surprising ways that losing weight can actually harm your metabolism. While shredding pounds is often seen as a key to better health, extreme or rapid weight loss can slow down your metabolic rate, making it harder to keep the weight off in the long term. Join me as I explore how restrictive diets, muscle loss, and hormonal shifts can wreak havoc on your body's ability to burn calories efficiently, and what you can do to avoid these pitfalls while striving for sustainable weight loss. So many of you know that recently I put on a workshop, Midlife Momentum, and during that workshop, we spoke about weight loss, always a concern, especially with the challenges of midlife and muscle mass and the effects how that all has on metabolism. It stirred up a lot of discussion, and even with some of my present clients, they were surprised at some of the information that I gave them. Now, I've spoken about this before, but I thought it would be great to revisit it. I think the information is very pertinent to what goes on in the world and how people address fat loss. So I'm going to present some slides. I'll do my best to describe the slides as we go along for those people who are listening and are not watching. So let's start off first with a slide here on a research study. And this research study, they compared a very low calorie diet and a hypocaloric diet and behavioral modifications with their combination. And there was 27 people that were in this particular study, and they lost an average of 19 pounds in 8 weeks. Now, 19 pounds in 8 weeks, that's about 2.3 pounds a week. People were ecstatic. But the problem was 32% of that was lean muscle tissue. 32% of those 19 pounds was lean muscle tissue. So for every 13 pounds of fat they lost 6 pounds of muscle. So our next slide is going to give a little bit of visualization on what this all means and how it comes down to everyday life. And we start off with the average woman, not every average woman, but the average woman in this case was 180 pounds. And of those 180 pounds, 48 pounds were fat, 63 pounds muscle, and 67 pounds of everything else, bone, miscellaneous things like that. So after those 8 weeks of the very low calorie diet, they were down to 161 pounds. That was 19 pounds of weight loss, right? They were ecstatic. But as we know, they lost 13 pounds of fat, and they also lost 6 pounds of muscle. So as what often happens now that we've affected our metabolism and we go back to the way we eat, we gain that weight back. Now, I'm only going to go back to 180 pounds. I'm not going to say gain it back and then some, because that often what happens, and you'll see why in a few minutes. They went back to 180 pounds. So they said, you know what? That last diet worked really well. I'm going to do it again. So there we go, 8 weeks. Again, they lose 19 pounds. And again, they lose 13 pounds of fat and another 6 pounds of muscle. What happens before we know it, they've gained it all back and they're back to 180 pounds. But the key here is now at their 180 pounds, they've lost 12 pounds of fat, but they've also lost 12 pounds of muscle. So, with that 12 pounds of muscle that they originally had way back in the beginning, they've destroyed their metabolism and they need to gain another 12 pounds of muscle mass before the metabolism will be restored. That's not an easy thing to do. So we're going to move on to another study here. So hopefully that explains to you what happens a little bit to your muscle mass as we do these very low calorie, very restrictive diets, or just getting it after for a few weeks. Now in this study, we have an 800 calorie diet, liquid diet for 90 days. Again, the average person was ecstatic because they lost 35 pounds. That was almost 2.9 pounds per week. During this study, though, they did some resistance training. So they had a liquid diet and resistance training. So all the subjects increased the cross-sectional areas of their muscle fibers significantly. So the conclusion of this study is it appears that weight training can produce hypertrophy in skeletal muscle and therefore increases their metabolism even during severe energy restricted and large scale muscle loss. So the bottom line here is lifting weights, doing resistance training, we talk about it all the time, increases muscle no matter what. So as we move on to our next study, this contains a few more areas. We've got a diet only group is group 1. Group 2, we have a diet plus resistance exercises plus casein protein supplement. And group 3 is going to do a diet. They also are going to do resistance training, but instead of a casein supplement, they're going to do a whey protein supplement. Whey protein gets into your system a little faster. Casein takes longer to get into your system. So after 12 weeks of this hypocaloric diet, the diet group only lost 5.5 pounds of fat. Good thing is they didn't lose any lean mass, so they didn't lose any muscle mass despite their dieting for 12 weeks. The resistance plus the whey protein group lost 9.2 pounds of fat and gained 4.4 pounds of muscle. So the scale weight only went down 4.8 pounds, but they lost 9 pounds of fat. So by doing resistance training and having that whey protein supplement, we talk diet is very important in our results. They lost 9 pounds of fat, where the diet only group lost 5.5 pounds of fat. So the third group that included the casein protein rather than a whey protein, they lost a total of 15.4 pounds. And the lean muscle gain was 8.8 pounds. So again, they might have been disappointed the scale weight only went down 6.6 pounds, but they lost 15 pounds of fat. So what's the difference here? Again, you want to do some strength training, and it's important to get your protein in. Strength training, protein. So how does all this really affect our metabolism? And that's why I wanted to break down metabolism. So metabolism really is, it's just our body's cells converting foods into energy through chemical reactions. And these actions are used for many vital functions, including movement, growth, and thinking, actually. So here's our total daily energy expenditure, the amount of calories we burn in a day on average. Okay. That's what makes up your metabolism. I hear a lot of people say, I don't have metabolism. My metabolism is slow. We're going to think back to that first slide where we talked about a very low calorie diet and how muscle mass was lost, 12 pounds of muscle. So the majority of your metabolism is made up of your resting metabolic rate, or resting energy expenditure. We're going to intertwine those two words together. So your resting metabolic rate makes up about 70% of the amount of calories you burn each day. 70% of the calories you burn each day, just your resting metabolic rate. Then we have what's called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. NEAT makes up approximately 15% of the calories you burn each day. That's our movement. That's us moving around. So we're up, moving around, getting our steps in. Well, I'm going to use 10,000 steps as an example. Remember that 10,000 steps, there's no research about 10,000 steps, but it just means that you're up and moving around. That could be 4 or 5 miles that you've walked. Okay. That's 15% of the amount of calories you burn. Then about 10% of the amount of calories you burn each day There's a thermal effect of food. So every time you eat, it turns your metabolism on. So if you eat like we suggest down here at Yes Fitness, we eat 6 or 7 meals a day, 5, 6 meals a day. Each time we eat, we turn our metabolism on and we kind of rev it up. We keep our furnace burning all day, we like to say. If you eat once or twice a day, you're only going to turn your metabolism on once or twice, and you're not going to get that much of a caloric expenditure. You're not going to burn that many calories. And then finally, we have EAT, exercise activity thermogenesis. That makes up about 5% of the calories you burn each day. It's not very much. 5%. I'm not telling you not to exercise because we just saw research that said it's important to do strength training, not only for bone density and um, so we can function well. It helps maintain our metabolism. It helps us burn calories for the long term. It helps us lose weight. In each of those studies that we did strength training, we lost fat, not muscle, but fat. So just to summarize here again, resting metabolic rate, 70% of the calories you burn each day. NEAT, moving around, 15% of the calories you burn each day. Thermal energy effect, what you eat when you eat, 10%. And keep in mind that you burn more calories when you eat protein. It takes harder for your body to break down protein than fats and carbohydrates. And finally, exercise, 5%. So there are times where people will come to me and say, hey, I've started exercising, but I'm not losing any weight. First key is nutrition. If your nutrition's not on board with what we're trying to accomplish, not going to work. Second key to weight loss, nutrition. So nutrition is super important. But third, with your exercise, you need to be doing strength training. But if you're not losing weight, it could be a couple of reasons. You might be coming to the gym 2, 3 times a week, working out for an hour, getting in your car, going to work or going home, sitting in your butt, working from home, not moving the rest of your day. You're not getting your need in. You're not getting any activity in. So although you get that 5% 3 days a week, you're not getting the 15% of the amount of calories you should be burning each day. You're not revving up your metabolism every day. Every day, 15% of your calories need to come from NEAT. That is one reason why, as we get older, it seems like our metabolism slows down. We generally move less as we get older. Metabolism doesn't have to slow down. Get out there and move. Get out there and walk 6, 8, 10,000 steps. Ride your bike. We're not talking about exercise. I'm talking about moving. Park your car further from the door. Take the stairs. All these little things affect your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or 15% amount of calories you burn each day. A lot of people like to do intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, they might eat once or twice a day. So you're not going to get the same amount of effect of the thermal energy effect. Plus, I'm concerned a little bit about intermittent fasting if you're not doing some strength training. Because as we could see from some of the research, if you're not doing strength training, you're going to lose lean mass or muscle. We don't want that to happen. I'm going to show you why in a second. So although there are times where I might do some restrictive eating for other effects, for longevity effects, or some time restricted eating where I might skip breakfast and a snack in the morning once or twice a week, I'm not a huge fan of constantly doing intermittent fasting because we don't want to lose muscle mass. I know know a lot of people. I have clients who've been very successful in intermittent fasting. We got to make sure you're doing some strength training so that we're not losing that muscle mass. So let's take a look at resting metabolic rate because that's the one. That's 70% of the amount of calories you burn each day comes from that. As you can see on this next slide, what makes up our resting metabolic rate? Well, 19% of other organs. So we have the liver's 27%, brain's 19, heart 7%, kidneys are 10, again 19 of the other organs. That all makes up approximately 82% of your resting metabolic rate. We have no control over that. Your organs are your organs, and over time they do slow down, so your metabolism will slow down just a little bit as you age. But what makes this so important is that skeletal muscle mass. So if you've lost 12 pounds of muscle, like we saw in that first example, your metabolism is going to be slower. And that's why. So as we age, we naturally lose muscle mass. It's a process called sarcopenia. This begins as early as in our 30s and continues steadily throughout life. On average, people lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade after the age of 30, with the rate of loss increasing at age 50. So if we hit age 50, we're going to lose it even faster. At age 50, this loss often accelerates, especially for women, because menopause plays a significant role due to hormonal changes. The decline of estrogen during menopause has a direct impact on muscle mass and strength. This can cause a more rapid muscle loss compared to men or younger women. This means without regular strength training and a protein rich diet, the decline is going to be fast. But if you are doing strength training and you're having a lot of protein in your diet, we can slow that decline down. We can consistently do some strength training, consistently have healthy nutrition. You can slow and reverse some of these effects. You can build muscle mass up into your 90s. Muscle knows no age. So as we age, we can see why we think our metabolism slows down. And it probably has slowed down. Number one, the organs. Yes, it's going to slow down a little bit. But two, it's slowing down because we haven't done any strength training and we've lost muscle mass at a rate of 3 to 8%. We hit age 50, that accelerates. Three, we're not moving. We're not getting our non-exercise activity thermogenesis in. So what happens? It seems like we have a metabolism. We're not burning any calories because we're not moving. So the combination of strength training to burn calories, the combination of strength training and resting metabolic rate, and NEAT, yes, it looks like your metabolism is slowing down, but it doesn't have to. The types of cells you can have an effect, okay, based on the amount of work they do and the energy they burn. A cell in your fat is not as busy as a cell in your muscle. If you have a lot of lean mass or muscle, you're going to burn calories more efficiently than someone who has less fat, who has more fat. That's why muscle building strength training can be beneficial. Even though less than 20% of a resting metabolic rate is attributed to skeletal muscle, the most dramatic effect on metabolic rate is strenuous exercise. During such exercise, the total energy expenditure in your body may increase 15 to 20 times above the resting level. So the more muscle you have, the more calories you can burn when you do strenuous exercise. We always talk exercise. We define exercise as progressively overloading systems. That means you're getting tired. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, the body gets used to it. If you're not getting tired, it's not strenuous. You're not getting the effect that you want to burn calories. You're not boosting your metabolism like you'd like to burn your calories. So hopefully that helps you understand why strength training muscles is so important, not just for function and bone density, but for your metabolism, both your resting metabolic rate and the amount of calories you burn when you're exercising. And don't forget about the importance of NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So let's take a look at metabolism here. Again, it's how we convert foods into energy. So on this slide here, I apologize, it's hard to see, but there's basically 4 phases of metabolism. And you've heard that your metabolism peaks when you're a teenager and slows significantly as you approach middle age. But what researchers have discovered is that metabolism crests far earlier and declines much later than these 4 stages. So from infancy to age 1, metabolism is its highest. The baby's metabolism is about 50% higher than an adult. Then from age 1 to 20, metabolism drops about 3% a year. So you can see it drop down 3% a year. From age 20 to 60, metabolism holds steady. So basically, there's no change in your metabolism from 20 to 60. And after age 60, it slows and starts to decline at 0.7% per year. What that means is a 40-year-old, okay, for 40 years, you're burning calories at a steady rate, about 2,500 calories a day on average. That means a 60-year-old's metabolism is the same as a 20-year-old's metabolism. 60-year-old, your metabolism in these years is about the same. It doesn't decline. The fact that your rate remains steady through childbirth and into your 60s means you don't have to work harder to maintain a healthy lifestyle as long as you follow a healthy diet and get the recommended amount of strength training in and rest. Now, there are other things that can affect your metabolism around, midlife. It starts to slow down because our muscle gradually decreases. The amount of calories burned decreases. Could lead to weight gain. We've got the significant decrease after age 60 because of muscle mass and hormone levels and physical activity decline. So one of the key factors here is you don't want to lose your muscle mass. We just saw that with resting metabolic rate. If you lose your muscle mass, your metabolism is going to go slow down. If you lose that metabolism and you're not exercising, you lose that muscle, you're going to gain weight. If we're not moving as much, getting our need in, we're going to lose weight. Pardon me, we're going to gain weight. And this is really what's happening with your metabolism. And yes, for women, there's hormonal changes at menopause. But much of this can be offset with getting physical activity in and doing strength training. I have quite a few clients that have gone through menopause and they've been fine. They've been fine because they've lived the lifestyle that you need to live to be able to maintain your metabolism, keep your weight at a healthy weight, and be happy. It's really to be happy. So I hope this is helpful. Hopefully, if you couldn't see the slides, I was able to describe it enough. But the bottom line is, with the loss of muscle mass, your resting metabolic rate is going to slow down. 18% of your resting metabolic rate is going to slow down. And your resting metabolic rate makes up about 70% of the amount of calories burned each day. So that will slow your metabolism as you age, increasing the likelihood that you're going to gain weight. Thermal energy effect of food, eating more often can help kick that metabolism on. That's 10% amount of calories you burn each day. You've got NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's 15% amount of calories you burn each day. So you got to get up and move. And then, although exercise is only 5% of the amount of calories you burn each day, so if the days you're not exercising, you're not getting those 5%, you need to have strength training, because when you do exercise, you'll burn more calories. Your metabolism will raise more than if with the more muscle mass you have. Plus, that strength training is going to help maintain your resting metabolic rate. So, if you're looking to lose weight without damaging your metabolism, strength training is the key. Down here at Y.E.S Fitness, we focus on building muscle, so people feel stronger. Often people come through my door and they say, I don't feel strong anymore. That's why, because you've lost muscle mass 3 to 8% after age 30. So we do this to boost metabolism and achieve sustainable results. So don't fall into the trap of crash diets. And remember, muscle knows no age. You can build muscle mass at any age with the right exercise and nutrition. So join us to learn how strength training can help you burn more calories. Head on over to yesfitnesscd.com, book your free strategy session, and we'll see if together we can figure out a plan that will help you maintain your muscle, maintain your metabolism, and help you lose weight. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next week with more information on how to get fit, feel younger, live better.